All right, I think we can get started. Thanks for joining again. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Ma, and I am the New York City admissions counselor for Binghamton University. I've been in my role for a little bit over a year now, but before working with Binghamton, I was actually working for the SUNY system and representing all the 64 different schools. I work regionally for Binghamton, and I actually live in Brooklyn, and I was working remotely for Binghamton even before the pandemic and quarantine, all of that. But yeah, thank you again for joining me today. And then I'll pass over to my colleague, Michaela, as she'll introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela Ridley. I'm also one of our admissions counselors here. I'm here today to help with Q&A. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to post those in Q&A. I'll be answering them and saving some questions to answer live with the whole panel.
Great, thank you, Michaela. And also I brought some of the advising team from Harper College. So Alex Jablonski, if you want to introduce yourself too.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Alex Jablonski. I'm the pre-law advisor here at Binghamton. I'm a general advisor in Harper College, but as pre-law advisor, I work with everybody, so it doesn't matter which school you're in.
Great, thank you very much. And we have a couple other people on this panel too, and they'll introduce themselves during their part. But yeah, we brought all these people together today to do this presentation for you in this webinar. Alex is going to do a short presentation for you, but when we were creating this webinar, we wanted to be more panel-based. So any questions that you might have, feel free to throw them into the Q&A. Michaela will mark them for live and we'll answer them at the end. So thank you. And Alex, if you'd like to share your screen, actually, give me a second.
Sure thing. Okay, let's see how this goes. PowerPoint. All right. Does that look good, everybody? Okay.
Yeah, looks good. Thanks.
All right. As I mentioned just a second ago, my name is Alex Jablonski. I'm the pre-law advisor here at Binghamton, and you see quite a number of other people here on the panel. So pre-law is not just me, but I'm kind of a central kind of point for anybody interested in law. And I'm going to talk really briefly about what pre-law looks like at Binghamton. If you've just come from the pre-med session, it looks like something very different than that. Give you a quick sense of what it looks like, what you might be thinking about as a pre-law student here, and then we will hand it over to some of our other participants. So pre-law generally means somebody who's preparing for a legal career. And we have that specifically in mind as somebody who's aiming to be an attorney. Now, obviously, there are lots of other ways of interacting with the law, but primarily we mean students who are interested in preparing for legal education and law school and then practicing in some way or another as an attorney. So a quick kind of just primer here, right? So an attorney, somebody practicing as an attorney in the United States, works in all kinds of different roles in public life. You can see there at the bottom of the screen all the different fields that an attorney might work in, everything from civil rights to tax law to corporate law to real estate, public sector, private sector, and government. Basically every kind of point of interaction or business in public life in the United States has a legal element to it, and there are attorneys usually on multiple sides of that, and they work in many roles as advocates, as counselors, as negotiators, as litigators. So the big question for pre-law then, if it is such a big field, is how you prepare for it and how you get into it. Well, there is a commonality, right? Practicing attorneys in the United States, 99.8% or so of them hold the JD degree that they've earned from an accredited law school. And they all hold that degree, and then specialization comes primarily through practice, so through different kinds of experiences at the undergraduate level, the law school level, and then in their careers, and occasionally through further degrees in the form of, say, an LLM or something like that. So how do you prepare for it? That's sort of the big question of pre-law and the big stressful question I hear all the time. So to prepare for this comes right from the American Bar Association. There are 2 recommendations from the ABA for how you prepare to go to law school and to become an attorney. 1, the ABA does not recommend any particular major, group of courses, course of study, degree, other than a bachelor level degree, no specific major, no specific classes. And instead, students interested in law school are encouraged to pursue, quote, an area of study that interests and challenges you while taking advantage of opportunities to develop your research and your writing skills. So in effect, students interested in pre-law should study something that they really care about at the undergraduate level and develop those skills that a lawyer needs to be successful both in law school and in their career, primarily research, writing. To that, we might add oral communication skills, networking skills, those kinds of things. Broadly speaking, then, pre-law at the university is very flexible. Now, a lot of people will come in and kind of think that pre-law at Binghamton is a track, and that's helpful language, but kind of inaccurate language. Pre-law at Binghamton is more a state of mind. You know, if you are a pre-law student, well, there are no specific requirements for you to satisfy, but you are somebody who is intending to go to law school, perhaps, or interested in it, and so the actions you take are geared toward preparing you for that and ultimately for that career. So when this is very broadly cast, we've only got a couple of minutes here, there's a lot more depth to it. But generally speaking, what it means to be a pre-law student is you take time, you take advantage of that flexibility to really explore things you're interested in, find out the things that motivate you, the things that drive you, and then figure out ways to pursue them, right? There's nothing in your first semester, your first year that you have to do. So you have a lot of opportunity to explore, to try things out, figure out what issues and areas of professional life are interesting to you, and then maybe look at the legal dimension. Apply yourself inside the classroom, outside the classroom. You're not really building a resume. There's nothing law schools look for in particular, but you're taking opportunities to understand yourself better, to develop professionally, and to clarify your interest in the law. And the big question of pre-law really is not the short-sighted question of do you want to go to law school, but do you want to be a lawyer? And you take every opportunity you can to answer that question and to understand perhaps why you might want to become a lawyer. And that's taking interest in classes, that's doing internships, that's getting involved outside of the classroom, that's talking with attorneys. Probably the most important thing a pre-law student can do is interact with attorneys, learn what the legal field looks like, learn if they like that work on a day-to-day basis, and build from there. Looking at law school as a means to an end, right? A legal career that they're going to be satisfied by. We're going through this at light speed, right? There's a lot more we could talk about, but this is just a sort of a quick overview. And I know some more of it will come out in the panel discussion. Just a quick snapshot of some of the opportunities we have at Binghamton to sort of get some of that legal experience and begin building out your sense of that landscape on campus. We have quite a few student organizations. We have representatives from some of these organizations here today, the Thurgood Marshall Pre-Law Society, Phi Alpha Delta's Law Fraternity, a mock trial team. We have a Binghamton Law Quarterly, which is a student-published journal of legal writing. Students can get involved in the conduct process. Off-campus students can get involved in internships. They can volunteer. They can network with alumni. They can job shadow. And all of these things are available both in Binghamton and at home, and many of them virtually, given our current circumstances. Students often do lots of internships in the local area, and these kinds of offices you see listed here, you'll find them all in Binghamton. But there are analogous offices all over the country, private law firms, county government offices, city offices, those kinds of things. Lots of opportunities to get some practical legal experience, which I have to say is perhaps the most important thing somebody who's interested in becoming a lawyer can get on their way to becoming a lawyer. A quick snapshot of where our students go. Most of our students are coming from the New York metro area, and we'll often go back there to practice. So you can see our top 10 from a previous application year are generally schools situated in the New York area. But of course, we have students who have interests all over the country too, and our students also do quite well in law school applications, performing well above the national average. And you could see they've ended up at, quite well-ranked schools around the country as well. So Binghamton is a great springboard both for people who are interested in staying in New York to practice as well as finding their way around the country. Quick description of kind of what I do. So as a pre-law advisor, my role on campus is to serve as sort of a guide through this process. Everything from the beginning macro level planning. I don't know what major I should have. I don't know what courses I should take. How do I get involved outside of the classroom? How do I connect with attorneys? All the way through the nitty-gritty of the application process. It's fall right now, it's application season, so that is most of what I'm doing right now, helping students choose schools, draft documents, prepare for the LSAT, and ultimately in the spring, potentially negotiate offers as those scholarship and admissions offers start coming in. Also organize lots of events on campus, often with campus partners and with partners outside of campus. Do a big law fair every year called Law Day, informational sessions. We've done some trips to New York and areas around here. Lots of workshops on campus with alumni attorneys, law school representatives, local attorneys. We've had the DA here a couple of times. We have a couple of competitive scholarships and one internship program we actually do run through the school, which is a public interest summer internship program funded in part by our alumni council. Students who come to Binghamton. From my perspective, most important thing they can probably do is set up some time to meet with me and get on our mailing list, and they'll get information about all of these different kinds of things. I'm going to turn it back over to everybody else right now. This is just a quick snapshot of my contact information. PreLaw@binghamton.edu. Happy to answer any questions after this session. But in the interest of time, I will turn it over to, I believe, up next, our student panelists, or perhaps it's Dr. Ortiz.
Great, thank you, Alex, for talking a little bit about what the pre-law advising and what your office really does. I did also wanted to invite some of our faculty members to talk more about pre-law and pretty much what they do for Binghamton and at Binghamton too. So I'd like to introduce Professor Ortiz.
Hi there. Hey everybody, welcome. Glad to be with you here on this Sunday afternoon. So I'm a professor of history. I'm associate professor of history. I teach 20th century United States history. My specialty is kind of political history. And by virtue of that, probably maybe 20% of history majors end up having an interest in law school. Maybe sometimes year to year, it can be closer to 30%. And so a number of students who take my classes, who complete things like honors theses and what have you, end up applying to and going to law school. So that's one hat I wear as a faculty member, as a history professor. A related hat is I'm on the Philosophy, Politics, and Law, which is an interdisciplinary program. I'm on their advisory board, in part because almost every one of my classes that I teach in history you're able to use those for degree requirements for what we call PPL major. And so in my classes, often I have 50% history majors and 50% PPL majors, and often many of them are going to law school, interested in going to law school, and I end up writing letters of recommendation so that they can go to law school. And then the third hat I wear is as collegiate professor of College and Woods, which is one of our residential communities. And should the time come, we can talk more about the residential communities down the road if you are interested. But one of the things I do in that position is I run learning communities. And one of the learning communities is Politics, Law, and Society, in which incoming students live together, take classes together, and many of them, it is not a pre-law learning community solely, although probably half of those students are interested in pre-law. If you're interested in learning communities such as Politics, Law, and Society, next Saturday there will be a forum on learning communities at Binghamton. So I'm involved with a lot of students, helping them get to law school, helping prepare them for law school. And so the questions to me are also, what does Binghamton offer to its pre-law students? And I want to be very clear here, something Mr. Jablonski said, that we don't have a pre-law major. That we don't. And that's actually a positive as far as I'm concerned, because students at Binghamton can then take advantage of the richness of an inordinately talented faculty pool in many different disciplines in order to carve out an academic path here that might include history or philosophy, politics, and law, or English, or some of the more prototype majors that people get before going to law school, but they can also do other types of majors or double majors and minor programs. Things like a minor in human rights, if you're interested in international law, is something that can really accentuate and augment an application to the law school during the law school process. So one of the things I think Binghamton does really well is offer a rich, talented faculty with lots of different really amazing programs that you can draw upon and still be a pre-law student. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we are a public institution, and many people might think that by virtue of being a public institution, that it kind of limits your options for law school. Like, oh, well, I can't get into the top law schools by coming out of Binghamton. I need to go to this private institution or this liberal arts college or something like that. And I can tell you from experience, that's simply not the case. That one of the real joys is to watch students come into Binghamton and flourish as undergraduates, and then go on to be admitted to some of the top programs. Mr. Jablonski listed some there, but there's a student of mine who I wrote for law school last year who was accepted to, this was just one student, right? Who was accepted to Georgetown, Vanderbilt, Duke, Columbia, and ended up at NYU because they gave him basically a full ride package. And so that's a public institution that can carry you to however expansive your dreams are. about being at a law school, a top 14 law school. You can reach those goals by being at Binghamton. So those are two of the things I would mention as really important. And the third, I guess the last, would be that so Binghamton University, way back when it was first created, was known as Harper College. And Harper College, since its inception in 1946, I mean, it's changed some names along the way, but since 1946, this institution has produced so many attorneys, and not just produced them, but produced them in a way that has made them deeply invested into helping current students. And one of the really fun things to watch is the Harper Alumni Law Council invest their time and resources to help current students. And again, so you go to a different kind of institution, a longer institution that's been around for a longer period of time and has a big name reputation, you expect that. But we have that kind of resources through our alumni base in the field of law. And it's something that's really amazing and fun to watch unfold as students become alumni, that become law students, that become attorneys, and then reinvest back into current students. And so those are some of the things I would mention to you. And again, maybe some of you interested in the politics, law, and society learning community can check back in on Saturday when we'll talk about those things. But I look forward to your questions at the end of this session. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Professor Ortiz. So yeah, I did bring up some faculty members and the advising team to come talk about pre-law. But I actually want to hear a little bit from our students as well. So Anne, if you come back on camera, can you just do a quick introduction? What are you currently majoring in, where you're from, and what year are you currently at Binghamton?
Sure, yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great that you could all join us. My name is Anne. I'm a philosophy, politics, and law major. I'm in my third year here at Binghamton University, but I'll be graduating at the end of the year, and I'm currently applying to law schools. I'm also minoring in biological anthropology, which has really helped to direct my career aspirations toward a career in health law. And that is my focus right now. But as I said before, I'm in the process of applying to law schools, and I'm really open to and excited to see what law school has to offer. Yeah, so a little bit about me and, my experience as a pre-law student here at Binghamton. I came in knowing pretty much that I wanted to major in PPL and minor in biological anthropology. I had done a lot of research before applying to undergraduate institutions, and I found that this was a combination that really did spark my interest. And so, I kind of went in with this plan, as, Alex Jablonski can attest to as my pre-law advisor. I'm someone who loves to have a plan. Plans can change, but it's good to, have one from the start. And, I went into his office, within the first couple weeks of being on campus and said, hey, this is who I am. This is what my interests are. And I'd like to be able to do this in 3 years. I think I've worked out the credits so it can happen that way. And he's helped me do exactly that. His help has been absolutely invaluable in that process. And so, like I said, I knew roughly what I wanted to do when I came in. But what I didn't know was just how much I really wanted it. And so I asked myself recently, thinking back on my whole college experience so far, if I could do it all over again with, my pick of institutions or programs or whatnot, I think I can honestly say to myself that I wouldn't change a thing. I have had such a positive and academically rich experience as a pre-law student here at Binghamton that I wouldn't have gotten at any other institution. And quite frankly, I couldn't have gotten at any other institution. This is an experience that is really unique to Binghamton. Its faculty, its staff, and its professors, and its students here. I TA for a professor right now, and I've taken several classes with him in the past. And he's been teaching at Binghamton for 50 years. And for those of you who think you just misheard me, you didn't. 5 decades of experience of this professor who's a top academic in his field. He's dedicated a half a century to educating the students at this university. And I think that really speaks to the dedication that our professors have to really mastering their craft. And it is this, dedication and critical inquiry and mentorship, in, asking the important questions about law and philosophy and ethics that have really made me prepared to, make the statement that I want to apply to law schools. It's a very expensive statement to make, but I now feel prepared to make that. And by prepared, I don't mean that, I have a head full of case law, because I don't. I have a lot more to learn in that respect. But like I said before, it's seeing this intense, critical inquiry that these professors have shown and have taught me, that really make me know, or really have allowed me to realize the fact that I want a career as an attorney, as a lawyer for my life. That is what I want to do with my life. Beyond that, we have an amazing, collegial and academic environment of peers here. Some of my favorite memories from classes have been, those late night study sessions, exam study sessions at Bartle, where we've got, papers and notebooks all over the place trying to, figure out how we're going to get all this information in our head before the exam. But because, we do have a rigorous curriculum, and while it is rigorous, it's very rewarding. It truly is. I have learned here that, if you're a student that's willing to put in the work, to put in the hours, and to become really immersed in your curriculum, not just interested, but immersed in the curriculum, then you'll fit right in. These are the kinds of students we have here, the kinds of students that, we work with, and it's been a really wonderful experience. Currently I work as for the Assistant General Counsel of the New York State Department of Health. As her student assistant, I've been working there for the last year and a half. And I found out more recently, actually, when she was scrolling through applications for the position, she said, I automatically knew I wanted you as my student assistant. Your resume stood out to me because you are a Binghamton University student. I kid you not, that's exactly what she said to me. She said that her experience with students coming from Binghamton University is that we're willing to work hard. We've got some real intelligence and real talent. And I think that shows that our reputation really does transcend the boundaries of our campus and makes its way into the professional world. And it was at that moment that she said that I knew I was a part of something really special as a pre-law student here at Binghamton.
Great, thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's about my time, so I'll pass it off to the next student,
okay.
Bennett.
Actually, I want to ask you a question before we move on to Bennett. Any advice for students who are thinking about studying pre-law?
Any advice? I would say definitely, like Alex had said earlier, pick something that's interesting to you, because it's really through that experience of becoming immersed in the subject and in the material that teaches you these skills, these critical thinking skills, these critical inquiry skills that I have, as I've talked to other attorneys, seem to be incredibly important and vital to a career in the law.
Great, thanks, Anne. And then we'll bring on our second student now, so Bennett.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Anne. I think actually Anne and I lived across from each other freshman year, so it's nice to see you again in Binghamton. But yeah, I'm in my third year at Binghamton, but I'm graduating in the spring. I'm double majoring in political science and history. And as far as I understood that I wanted to go to law school, probably starting as I was finishing my junior year of Binghamton, or my second year of Binghamton. And that's when I went to Alex. It's the pre-law office, to just kind of talk to him about it and see what he thought, get his thoughts on it during my second year at Binghamton. And he kind of like reassured me, like, okay, this is good that you're starting now. So he kind of took me through that process. He was helpful with timelines and stuff. So I originally started studying for the LSAT, the law school admission test, in like about January of this year, to take it over the summer and apply in the fall right now when everyone's applying for law school. But it was difficult to balance because it's a lot of studying for that exam. So I ended up waiting, and this past summer I was able to get a internship through the public interest law internship program that the Harper Law Council sponsors. And that was a great opportunity. Alex, I think, was a part of the interviews, and like Anne, or I think Professor Ortiz, whoever was saying it, we really do have like a great alumni as far as the attorneys go. There's so many people on the Harper Law Council who are alumni of this school who now work as attorneys or in the legal field, and they're really willing to work with their students and, like Professor Ortiz was saying, invest in them and really want the best for them. So yeah, it's really great. I was able to work at the Waterfront Commission of New York Harbor, which deals with organized crime. Basically, they license all the longshoremen, which is the people who load and unload all the ships of cargo at New York Harbor. There's a lot of organized crime over there, so their mission is to get rid of it. They've existed since like 1955 or something like that. So it was a really great experience because it was direct experience in the legal field, and it's really rare for an undergraduate to get that chance. But since Binghamton has such an expansive alumni network, they're able to grant you this opportunity should you apply for it and get in, and you get a credit for it and a stipend. So it's a rewarding experience, and it's not just, you're interning and not getting anything out of it. You're getting immediate credit in the terms of 1 credit, and also you're getting a stipend, and it's going to look great on law school applications. And it lets you know if you actually want to do this. I think that's the biggest part of it. But yeah, so that's my experience been at Binghamton. So now I'm going to be studying for the LSAT again in January and over the winter break. And then I'll be applying next fall to start in fall of 2022. So I'll be taking a gap year in between Binghamton and law school. I'm looking into some fellowships right now, some interesting programs, and not exactly sure what I'll do during that year, but I'm looking to do something in law since I'll have that year off. But yeah, Binghamton's a great school. There's just, like everyone was saying, there's a great alumni network, and there's a lot of people who are willing to help you. And Alex is one of them, the PreLaw office. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
Great, thank you, Bennett. And last but not least, Nicole, can you please come on?
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Kaufman. I am a senior, and I am double majoring in philosophy, politics, and law, and English with a concentration in rhetoric. And I'm from Westchester, New York. So I kind of always knew, there was always a part of me that knew that law school was kind of going to be the path for me. But why PreLaw Binghamton is because PreLaw Binghamton really helped me solidify that. And I really wanted to emphasize the point that Anne made about immersing yourself in your learning and your academic experience. And I think that a huge part of that is through internships. Binghamton not only has the most incredible expansive alumni network, but just their network period has been amazing. I've had a couple of internships. I interned at the Broome County Attorney's Office last spring, and they were very great. A lot of them were actually Binghamton University alums as well, which was and they made me feel very welcome. And they transitioned into an online format because of COVID seamlessly. And then over the summer, I also, just like Bennett, did the Harper Public Interest Law Internship Program. I interned at Legal Services, New York City, with their education department with one of our alumni. And it was honestly just the most eye-opening, amazing experience ever. The whole thing was completely remote, which I know we were nervous about at first because at the time the interviews were taking place was in March. So nobody knew for sure what was happening, if there were going to be internships, how many internships there were going to be. And Alex and the rest of the committee were amazing, and they were able to place all 10 of us at different places with different alumni. And I also participated over the winter in a winter course run through the PreLaw office, where it was basically a bunch of legal lectures with other alumni. So Binghamton definitely gives you the opportunity to expand your network and use their resources. I have connected with so many Binghamton law alumni, and that is key to figuring out whether or not you want to go to law school, because everyone's experience is different. And they all just have such valuable insight due to the fact that they've experienced it and they lived through it. So that was very helpful for me. Something else that I've really appreciated about the PreLaw track at Binghamton is just how open it is. I feel that I've been able to balance other passions I've had, as well as being prepared to apply to law school, because I'm currently in the process of applying to law school. I'm planning on attending in fall 2021. So something else that I'm involved in on campus, I'm the news editor for Pipe Dream, which is the student-run newspaper on campus. And I've never felt that I wasn't able to really balance what I'm passionate about, as well as my schoolwork and trying to apply to law school. So I've been very appreciative of that. And just to throw that out there too, I have other friends that are applying to law school who did not major in philosophy, politics, and law, or political science or history. Some of my friends were finance majors. They were in the School of Management, and they're planning on applying to law school now. So I really, again, just wanted to emphasize immersing yourself in your learning, and there's not just one clear-cut path. every person has their own path, and the pre-law office and your professors are really there to help you foster your interests and focus on what you're passionate about and how that can be used to help you apply to law school and make you stand out in the application process. So
Great. Thank you, Nicole and Ortiz, for sharing your story about your journey through this pre-law process. So in addition to the students I brought on, I actually brought on a few student groups as well related to pre-law. Can Kristen come on and talk a little bit about mock trial?
So hi everyone, my name's Kristen. I am a sophomore here at Binghamton, and I am majoring in biomedical engineering with a minor in comparative literature. So definitely different here and definitely different in mock trial. I am the assistant treasurer of the mock trial team, specifically the competitive team. So just to give you a little background as to what mock trial is here at Binghamton, we have two different sections of our mock trial team. We have the competitive team that you have to try out for, and if you get selected, you come and compete with us. And in those competitions, basically what we do is we receive a case problem from the American Mock Trial Association at the beginning of the year, and we have to divvy up into two sides and basically present a case against another school. So if we go to a tournament and we get a round where we are the prosecution, we'll go against another team's defense, another school's defense team. We compete at invitational tournaments in the fall. This semester we're going to George Washington University. We're online. Usually we would go, but now it's virtual. So we will be attending George Washington University, Fordham University, and Geneseo. And then in the spring, we'll go to regionals and hopefully Orcs and hopefully nationals. That is our competitive season. As far as the non-competitive side of our team, we also have a general body, and that general body, we have events like test masters events that help you prep for the LSAT. So those are the two different avenues of mock trial. I'm probably going to focus more specifically on the competitive team because that is the part of our team that is a little bit more active and doing things. We meet 3 times a week, 2 to 3 hours every practice. And during our invitational, like in the week before an invitational or a competition, we meet every day to make sure that we're ready for that invitational. So how does mock trial help you get to law school and help you become a lawyer? Well, I definitely think just generally mock trial helps you think on your feet because you have to be able to, basically spitball something. If you get an objection, you have to be able to improvise, you have to be able to react, and you have to be able to do that very seamlessly. You also get work public speaking. You have to be able to get up in front of a lot of people and articulate yourself very accurately. And you have to be able to take these, complex things from a case we've been immersed in for an entire year and articulate them very easily and seamlessly, and so that anyone can understand what we're saying. Because a lot of the judges of our rounds don't have a legal background and have not read the case before we walk in. So they're going in completely blind. We have to be able to articulate it to them. So all of those things can help you go to law school, but they can also help you in whatever you decide you want to do. If you walk in here and you think you want to be pre-law, that's great. You're more than welcome on our team. If you aren't pre-law, you're also more than welcome on our team. You don't have to be pre-law to do mock trial, and if you decide you don't want to be pre-law in the middle of your time, it's not like we're going to kick you off the team. You can continue to benefit from mock trial no matter what you decide to do in your journey here. So that's a little bit about a mock trial. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Kristen, for sharing that about mock trial on yourself. And our second student group is actually from the Thurgood Marshall Pre-Law Society. So finally, you can come on and speak a little bit about that.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. My name is Faina. I am a senior majoring in philosophy, politics and law, and Latin American Caribbean studies, and I am the president of the Thurgood Marshall PreLaw Society. And so the Thurgood Marshall PreLaw Society was founded in 1992 with the intentions, obviously, of the 96 Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. And his legacy was always fighting for individual rights and equality for all, and committing to actions that helped end racial segregation, and those intentions motivated us. And his life legacy and the intention of ending discrimination for all African Americans is really the basis of our organization, and we recognize how important it is for people of color to be in the legal field, as it's really substantial to create a systemic change and equity within the American society. And given this, our mission has always been to support the minority and underprivileged students interested in the legal field and social justice, but obviously we're all encompassing. Regardless of your background, we encourage all pre-law students to use our resources. And to begin, our members have access to LSAT prep materials. I know, like Kristen mentioned, they mock trial partners with test masters, so does Thurgood Marshall PreLaw Society. And so they come in and they do free test prep workshops for our members and give us discounts to individuals who would like to take their semester-long courses. Every fall semester, Thurgood hosts our annual Law Week, which passed this September. And this is an opportunity for our members to experience our organization as much as possible. And we hold events that are all encompassing. For instance, this past fall, we had a virtual fashion show to make sure our members understand what business attire is, smart casual, etc. And we had our first law school student panel and our law conference, and that theme was criminal law, so anybody who was interested in criminal law was allowed to come and ask attorneys questions about criminal law, the field, the work that they do. We have that biannually, so every semester we have a different theme. And that's just an opportunity for members to listen and network with attorneys that work within the prospective legal field that the theme of law conference embodies. And we also make sure that we engage with the student body as much as possible. So our fundraisers are always culturally based. In the fall semester, we have Havoc on the Hardwood, which is a basketball tournament. And our spring semester, we also have a step show where we have step teams from different schools come and compete. However, everything has to be virtual this time. So we're definitely coming up with different ideas. And the purpose of our fundraisers is initially to fundraise for our law trips. So we make sure that we give our students opportunities to go on law trips outside of New York State, just to make sure that they are well-rounded and can see the different opportunities that are in different states. So they get to network with law school admissions students, law school students, professors, etc., and attorneys as well within that state. And finally, Thurgood has our general body meetings every Tuesday. We call them Thurgood Tuesdays, where we talk about different current events and legal topics that are related to current issues that are happening within society. And I guess where our members are, we have a couple of members that work within the district attorney's office. I know one of them is a district attorney in Queens. A lot of our different members practicing law, but also even if you're not interested in legal field, we have a lot of members that are teachers or that are working in nonprofits that help low-income communities, etc. And so it's all encompassing. You don't have to necessarily be targeting for law school, but we do encourage our members to do so, since that is the resources that we are trying to provide. And I think that's about it.
Hey, thank you, Faina. Sorry for pronouncing your name incorrectly before.
No worries.
Yeah, at this point, we'll transition to the panel and to the Q&A piece. So please continue submitting those questions. I know a few of them actually came in, and I know I don't think we really touched upon this. This is actually for Alex and for Professor Ortiz. Kind do I have to major in history, PPL, something in humanities to be in pre-law, or can I do anything I want?
Yes, no to the first one, yes to the second one. No, you do not have to major in history. No, you do not have to take a course that has the word law in it. You can do what you like. And the reason, and I could have underscored this, but thankfully the other panelists, I think, really hit this well, is that there is no required major for law school. There are no required classes. There is no one-size-fits-all background for an attorney, right? I mean, you've seen even just represented in our panel, people coming from all different kinds of areas, interested in all different kinds of things. Lawyers practice in all different kinds of areas. So there's so many different things that you could do that would be adequate preparation for law school. One thing that I like to recommend to somebody who comes into my office and says, I don't know what I should major in, is to think about the undergraduate, your undergraduate coursework is to a certain extent contextual, right? You know, you're going to be, if you're interested in being an attorney, you're going to be intervening in some kind of area of public life. Learn about that area. You know, if you want to do business law, look at some economics. If you're interested in civil rights, social justice, if you want to do that kind of thing, study the people you're going to be helping and the issues that affect their lives. If you're interested in international law, learn a language, you know. If you want to do intellectual property, you're interested in art, music, art, study music. You know, if you want to do something in patent law, do a hard science. If you want to do healthcare law, do it, you know, do a hard science. You know, so there's so many different things that can feed into that. You know, you think about what would it be useful for me to know as an attorney, and you can structure it in that way. And study things you're interested in. You know, one of the things on a law school application that you need to be able to do to make a compelling application is to get, you know, to look back at your career in undergrad and explain, I did these things because they were important, and to be able to explain why they're important, you know, to you, not important in an abstract sense, but I did these because they were meaningful to me. Makes you an interesting person.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just would add just one thing. So part of this is about interest, and part of it is about the acquisition of and sharpening of skills.
Yep.
So on the one hand, Alex is absolutely right that you should be following your interest here and letting that and exploring new interests at this university. But you should also be thinking about the skills that are going to be requisite for being not just accepted to law school, but being successful at law school. And so what we don't want is to have people going to law school and encountering their first year and not doing well and having a kind of tumbling, cascading effect in which they're no longer going to be law students. We want Binghamton pre-law majors to be accepted into and then successful at law school. And so how are you successful at law school? It's by developing a set of skills in terms of really close reading and the ability to create argumentative writing that is clear and concise and readable, the ability to do lots of work under pressure and to be able to summarize and critically think, all these kinds of skills, but there's not one department on campus that holds a monopoly on that kind of development of skills, right? So that's why you can follow your interest, but you still want to be thinking about it in terms of skill acquisition and sharpening for those who have those skills already.
Yep.
Great, thank you, Professor Ortiz and Alex. And just as a follow-up question, how is Binghamton's pre-law program different than other pre-law programs out there?
I'll jump in. I mean, I think a lot of what we've seen in the panel discussion exhibits a lot of those things, you know, standout qualities. You're going to see a lot of commonalities in the way pre-law is structured at universities. I'm on the board of the National Organization for Pre-Law Advisors, so I've got kind of a bird's eye view of this. And there are a lot of commonalities, right? Because a lot of people take their lead from the ABA, no required major. You won't see a pre-law major, specifically pre-law track in a lot of places. One thing that really makes Binghamton stand out, in addition to excellent academic departments, in addition to wonderfully vibrant student organizations, in addition to a really involved alumni base they're involved in everything we do, and they actually fund a lot of our pre-law activities, in addition to just being wonderfully supportive, is we have a dedicated advising office for pre-law. A lot of universities have that housed in faculty, and we do have excellent faculty here who also serve in advisory roles in helping students. But my position doesn't exist at every university. And the fact that I'm accessible every day, I have appointments every day with students. A lot of my time is given over to planning events for students. I do think is one of our strengths. I'm not, say, also torn away by teaching responsibilities and research obligations and other kinds of service commitments. So I do think that that is another of my strengths. And I'll leave it to the panelists. I think there's a lot more, too, that helps us stand out.
I would add one thing, because I think it's a really important facet to what the pre-law advising does at Binghamton, is that this is not a service that Mr. Jablonski provides solely for students who are currently undergraduates. Oh, yeah. It is a service that he provides to all of our alumni as well. And since the average law school applicant is not like some of the panelists here who have clipped through university life in 3 years and are applying to law school and going next fall after a brisk academic college undergraduate career, many, if not most, people take their time with gap years or work or other types of things that they're interested in pursuing before law school, and the ability for Binghamton students to come back to Mr. Jablonski as alumni and say, all right, now I'm ready to go to law school, will you help me? And get that service free and in perpetuity. As long as they are alumni, which is like in perpetuity, they will have that opportunity. And that's not something that every university is going to provide, those kinds of services. And I think it's really exceptional and generous in ways other institutions may not be.
Great, thank you very much. Speaking of taking that gap year, it might be good for either Alex or Professor Ortiz or even Bennett, maybe to answer his question. Do you recommend taking time off after graduating from Binghamton before applying to law school, or working first and then going to law school later on?
Yeah. I'd like to throw it to Bennett actually in a second just to get your thoughts on it, but quickly I will say, just because this is a public service announcement, it is atypical to go straight through to law school. 66% or so of applicants nationwide and at Binghamton take a gap year, take 2 gap years, take 3 gap years. I have 300 or so number 1 rules for pre-law, but one of them is don't do it before you're ready. They'll take your money whenever you want. If you come to it in your junior year, if you come to it in your senior year, if you come to it when you're 35, there's no correct timeline except that you apply early in a given application cycle and that you're ready to do so when you get there. Gap years are great. Gives you some time to finish out, gives you some time to go out and get some experience, mature a little bit, come back. Average age of a first-year law student is about 26. So, don't stress out about it. But Bennett, I know you're taking a gap year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the most important thing is to just make sure you're ready when it comes down to applying to law school. So originally why I wasn't going to take a gap year is because I was studying for the LSAT, and I thought, I have enough time, I can study for the LSAT, I can prepare. But then once I realized that I wouldn't have enough time, I wouldn't be able to adequately prepare for the LSAT, which is really important for law school applications. That's why I decided, okay, I'm going to wait until next year, because like Alex said, there's no problem with taking that year off or multiple years even. You just want to make sure you're ready. So now that I have it planned out, I know I'll be prepared when it comes time to take the LSAT and therefore to apply to law school. So I think, just like what Alex said, it just matters that you're prepared, and that you're ready to apply, and you have your whole kind of application ready.
If I could add on to emphasize as well, I'm also going to be taking a gap year, just because I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people that went straight through have just said, I wish I would have taken a year off at least, just to experience the working field, get to know what I like, if you haven't done so in college as well. So I think that's really important to get your head there. If you're not mentally ready to go to another 3 years of schooling or anything like that, I think that's very important to look out for yourself and making sure you're investing in yourself the right way.
Great, thank you very much. Alex, I know you mentioned some of the colleges and law schools that our students have gone to after they finish Binghamton, but what kind of, how many students are admitted to law school each year from Binghamton? What's our acceptance rate?
So it includes, the number of applicants we have every year includes current students and alumni, right? Actually, the bulk of our applicants are alumni, right? In keeping with that trend I mentioned. We have about 180 people apply every year, 180, 185. Most recent year for which I have data, 167 of those got in somewhere. So we have a very high acceptance rate. It's about 86% overall, and that's about 10 to 12 points higher than the national average in terms of students admitted. And so we do quite well. And as I said kind of earlier on, we have students going all over the country to a whole range of different law schools, including some very highly ranked ones. So our students do really well.
Great, thank you. And an interesting question actually just came in as what steps within PPL and pre-law has Binghamton taken to ensure it honors all diversities, but most especially diversity of thought?
I know we have a bunch of PPL majors on, so I'll turn that part over. But for pre-law, what I will say is that Binghamton is great. We have a wonderfully diverse student body with a wonderfully diverse array of interests and all different kinds of academic departments that cater to that. Our kind of operating principle with pre-law is that there is no one kind of lawyer. In my advising, I really try to stress diversity in the legal profession, diversity of opportunity, diversity of different kinds of jobs, and then in the event planning that we do, we try to bring as many different perspectives. Huge plug here for Thurgood Marshall's semesterly conferences. They do such a great job of bringing out all different kinds of attorneys. I don't know how your group gets done everything you do every year, but it's incredible. So there's plenty of opportunities for students on campus to hear from all different kinds of attorneys, get exposed to all different kinds of legal work. One of the benefits of not having a pre-law major is that we don't ever have to tell anybody what a pre-law student necessarily looks like in recommendations, but we don't have a stamp that we try to put, affix to everybody. As for PPL, I'm not involved in that curriculum, so I would turn it over to the people who take those classes.
I'll let the PPL students respond, but I'm happy to chime in if they're not interested in doing so.
I can chime in. So I've been doing the PPL, been on the PPL track, I guess, for the past 2 years, 3 years actually. So I think that part of what makes it what allows for the diversity in subject matter is that it's very open-ended in a lot of its requirements. So there are certain core classes that you do have to take, like your freshman or your sophomore year, you do have to take a course called Law and Justice. You do eventually have to take a philosophy seminar called Philosophy and Law. But other than that, you have to take 2 history courses. Binghamton offers such a wide array of history courses. There is so much to choose from, it is almost overwhelming, but that's a good thing. And then you have to choose 4 cognates, which are essentially, from my interpretation of it, almost like electives. I took macroeconomics as a cognate for philosophy, politics, and law. So the fact that I was able to take an economics course that also contributed to that major, I was very happy with. And then another requirement for the PPL major your senior year is that you have to participate in a philosophy seminar. I'm currently doing mine in transitional justice. And a lot of the philosophy seminars it's a very diverse range. Again, it's not just one philosophy seminar that you have to take. You have to take that kind of stepping stone philosophy of law, but once you've taken that, then you can go on to a seminar of your choosing. So I've been very personally appreciative of the fact that the requirements are so open-ended and that there's so many options in order to complete this degree that, just emphasizing again, there's not one track to getting this degree. You can do it in so many different ways.
Yeah, and just to add, sorry.
No, it's okay, you can go.
Just to add in, I'm a PPL major as well, and I think one of the reasons why I was able to double major in my Latin American Caribbean Studies area program was because it was so open-ended. Much of the requirements, much of the classes that I've been taking within the Latin American Caribbean Studies also fulfills my PPL courses, so whatever you're interested in can also be incorporated into that as well.
Right, jumping off of that, I'm an English major also, and the PPL major is very actually conducive to double majors. So I really wanted to emphasize that. It's it works very, very well with other majors if you have other interests.
Yeah, also, I'd like to add, outside of, the coursework for the degree, our philosophy department, especially, under PPL, is very open to, interdisciplinary activities. I'm actually writing an honors thesis right now that started from research that I was doing in a biological anthropology lab with a legal focus. And so I spoke with a couple of professors in the philosophy department and was able to, get that approved. I have an assigned independent study honors thesis advisor from the philosophy department who will help me in, writing and structuring and reviewing my honors thesis before it goes before an approval panel at the end of the semester. But yeah, no, we're very focused on interdisciplinary and diverse studies, incorporating a lot of the other disciplines into PPL.
Great, thanks, Anne. And really quickly, are you kind of assigned an academic advisor to choose courses for law school? Are they only working with you, Alex, or are they working from other people in the Harvard team as well?
Well, there's only me. So for better or worse, you're stuck with me.
Faculty and all your faculty.
But that's the follow-up, right? So I am the pre-law advisor at Binghamton. So I offer those services to everybody. You are not assigned to me and that you're not required to work with me, although you're certainly invited to. And there are lots of faculty members on campus as well who are actively involved in advising students. I do a lot of when it comes down to the kind of nitty-gritty application stuff. But when we talk about advising in a bigger sense, it is finding people who can ask you interesting questions, who can guide you toward interesting opportunities, and act as mentors, right? And I do some of that, of course. But people like Dr. Ortiz and faculty members, staff members in other offices all over campus. The word advising is very flexible there. But if you're talking specifically about the advising office, I am the only pre-law advisor. Generally, Binghamton doesn't use assigned advising in any case. So in the Harper advising office, you come in, you find people you want to work with, and you work with them. You don't. You're not assigned one when you're admitted.
Great.
Yeah, I would also,
Okay.
I would also stress just as someone who comes from like Watson or, if you are going into SOM, like use those advisors, like talk to those advisors for your major, like definitely go to the advisors that know about your specific major, and then maybe go to Alex for, the more law related stuff. You can talk to many different people to, throughout your college career. So definitely talk to the people who can answer the question you have. Like I wouldn't go to Alex for a Watson question, take advantage. Right. Take advantage of, all of the advising that we have, whether it be Fleischman, Alex, Watson, SOM, Harper. We have a lot of advisors.
One thing that coming from the advising office perspective, one of the anxieties about having so many options is maybe you don't know where to go, right? That's where an advising office really comes in handy, is stop by and talk with us first, and then we will point you in the right direction. And the academic advising office or the pre-law advising office, we do big picture stuff. So I'm not going to answer questions about course substitution within a particular major, but okay, we know what your requirements are, let's sketch it out, and then I will refer you as needed to people who are more specialists in particular areas. So, but a centralized advising office like Watson Advising, SOM Advising, CCPA, or Harper Advising is a sort of your clearinghouse, right? You can come to us first, and then we will help guide you through, everywhere else that you might need to go.
Great.
Alex, I'm not sure that was clear in your introduction, but you are a Harper College advisor, but you advise any pre-law student
Correct.
in college. So if you're accepted into the College of Public Affairs or Watson and or School of Management, should your ultimate goal be law school, Alex would be your pre-law advisor, even though he is formally a Harper College advisor. And that's an important thing to kind of raise here, that no matter which school you go to, which college you are admitted into, and which one you actually attend as a Binghamton student, you have the ability to use the Harper pre-law office and Alex Jablonski as your advisor in that capacity.
Right. And as advisors, we see ourselves as very much collaborative. So there's no one authority on any particular issue, right? So you will work with somebody in an advising office with your faculty advisors in creating your bigger plan, right? It's not that one is, we all lean on each other for that.
Hey, thank you. And there's actually one last question I want to wrap this up with. Just some little advice. Is there any steps a high school student can take right now to be better prepared for law school, whether it's from anyone on panelists of students, the advisors, or Professor Ortiz as well?
I'll start.
Write a lot. That'd be nice. Read a lot and write a lot.
Write a lot. And take a big deep breath, because you've got a long way to go. So, if you're already asking that question and you're a high school student, then you're probably going to do just fine. Not everything you have to do, everything you do has to be law focused. Not everything you do has to be on this sort of forced march toward law school, right? Pick things you're interested in, do things you like, try other things, keep yourself open to the idea that maybe law is not where you're going to end up. explore a little bit. I usually like to tell students that if you're doing like at least one focused thing every semester and every major part of the calendar, so every summer, winter term, if you have time, one thing that is like consciously, okay, I'm doing this because I'm really interested in law and this seems like a good way for me to develop that interest a little bit. That's great. Your whole time does not have to be dedicated to that.
Awesome, great, thank you very much. And we actually went a little bit over our time as it is 4 o'clock. Thank you all the panelists that came out, Faina, Professor Ortiz, Alex, and Kristen, Bennett, Nicole, and Michaela on chat support. I appreciate everyone coming on. We look forward to seeing your application if you're looking to apply at Binghamton, and thank you for joining me this Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and we hope to see you in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.